So, a couple of weeks ago, I made videos about KPA's Road to BAL 2023 and watched all the games as well. Just, gave my 2 cents at the time. And that time, that window came and closed. The teams that are punched in to participate in the 2023 BAL next year, which is slated between in February, March, April, and May. Yeah. So it's total of like 28 days because they have like 10 days for like the Nile Conference, SAR Conference, then the playoffs. But in this video, I'm not talking about that. We're just gonna talk about our teams, Kenyan teams that have been participating in Road to BAL, in anything FIBA related. So we had KPA having their hand, the men's team going into the Road to the BAL. It wasn't successful. The first go around, they blew out a team emphatically. Actually, it was the biggest win total that KP has seen and also Kenya has seen in a FIBA game. Then they lost to Cospien, they lost to Cape Town Tigers, lost to Uronani, and they lost to NB Academy, a team that wasn't even classified. I remember I gave my 2 cents on that, and it was just not a good look, especially for a team that won the KBF chip. I know the competition is different, but if you look at the way those teams were set, the way the teams were set, we didn't come up. We came up short, and we were not able to adjust to the tempo of the competition. So then, weeks later, just in recently yesterday, the FIBA African Women's Cup came to a close, and I think AS Sporting won that. Won it all. They won Zone 5, and KPA women's team will participate in that. They participated in Zone 5, which I covered the games that they were playing. Then, I mean, same thing that happened to the men's side, but it was something that was recurrent, like the way they played. And just to give my 2 cents on it, it was actually pretty tough. The first game was an L against uh, Inter Club, then Costa del Sol. We lost back to back. It was it was actually one thing that really surprised me because I had a bit of high expectations given the fact that they participated in the Zone 5, the KPA Docker side for the women, and they showed up pretty well. But in the last game, again, the last deciding game in the finals, they folded against a Sporting, and it wasn't a good look at all. But when they matched up against Energy BBC, they blew them out, which was expected because you could see like the size differential and the way the KPO are playing. It really wore them out, and KPO went ahead and won it. Then the game that was pretty much interesting that I watched was KPA versus CNSS. I'm not gonna spell the whole the whole name of the whole team out because man, it's I don't want to go ahead and butcher it, but that was actually a game that I saw fight, and a game that was decided by a 10-point spread. So KPA actually came out clutch in that game, and the fight and the desire that they played in that game was actually pretty good. And when that set of games, those 4 games came to a close, they had a 2-2 record. They were coming off 2 back-to-back wins. Now heading into the Sporting game, a game that it just rekindled like the fire that was there in the Zone 5 finals. I just saw a situation where KPA just didn't have enough to beat a Sporting, and they got knocked out in the quarterfinals. And the other games were classification games. I just didn't see the need of just give my 2 cents on him. But I've seen a couple of things that have really shocked me a lot, especially when it comes to KPA's preparation to these games. It's just it's just a funny thing that I've seen. Here's why. Anytime I've seen KPA suit up and go to compete in recent memory, I'm just seeing them. They're getting new guys and they're putting them, integrating them in the roster, which is not a bad thing. You have to retool the roster and make it better. But the rosters that won them the KBF championships, they are pretty solid. They are pretty stacked. Now the problem came in when you're integrating like new players in there. They have to buy into the system. They kind of don't want to say hinder, but they kind of alter like the overall chemistry of the team, and that's why you're seeing um, though when you see the decision making inside the KPA squad, especially in look watch those games. If you go recap those games, you can see like there's no clear cut number one option, and to some extent you're seeing even the players that are coming in, they're just coming in and taking control of the whole offense, which is something that shouldn't happen, especially for a team that has seen a lot of success before they integrate the new players. But if you see the new players coming in and be giving the other players are deferring to them and letting them orchestrate the offense. I know different players have different talents, but there has to be a hierarchy on how things occur, especially in the basketball court. So one thing that I saw was the players that are coming in from other teams. They're contracted by KPA to play. They are playing much better than the other members, the other guys who are playing on the roster even before them. And this is something that really, really strikes me a lot because it's either they play better or they play worse. So there's something that I've seen, and it goes to show you like, this is not like 2K. You can just plug in players just like that, and you expect the team to be able to mesh and gel well. You have to at least find a way to integrate those players and buy into the new system so you can have a clear number one, two, three option. You just cannot bring a player from outside and just put him uh, in there, which is really really hindering the offense. You're finding a situation where they're bringing the ball up court, they're orchestrating the offense, they're being the number one scoring option in that tournament. But if you look at the games that they play locally, you're seeing like there's an overall shift in how they're playing. How they're playing in Kenya is different from how they're playing outside our borders. So that's one thing I saw, both on the men's side and the women's side, and it really, really is bottlenecking their ability to be able to get on to the next level. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but in hindsight, if you look at the way they are playing, the way they are setting up, is actually one of the main reasons as to why they're not able to get the job done, especially down the stretch. So that's one thing that I saw, and having a coaching staff that is not able to match the intensity and level of competition. That's one thing that I've seen, and goes to show you like Kenya is just on a long way to go, especially when competing outside and outside tournaments. You can see the same things that are haunting KPA. I dare say the same teams that the same situation as haunting. I don't want to say a lot of teams, but when you narrow it down to like how Kenyan teams orchestrate their offenses and construct their rosters, I can say it's just the same thing because I wouldn't believe uh, Ulinzi, even if they won the finals, they will do better than what KPA did because every team, every of these money teams have had their shot at um, you know participating and competing at that level. But honestly, if you look at the way they construct their rosters, I don't think that they have what it takes to be able to compete and be able to win at that high level. And in passing, I even made a comment. I'm like, while other players and other teams, and other nations have the great intent of winning titles and contending for titles in these major tournaments, Kenyan teams are just happy to just be there, which is a mentality that has held uh, any progression of even challenging for a title. It just hampered it because you're just seeing a situation where teams are just, the teams that are being sent out of Kenya. They're just happy to, just fly out, just do it. But they're not there to compete. They're just there to, participate, and that's that. That's the same thing you're seeing with the national team. That's the same thing you're seeing with these teams, there's no amount of seriousness there. But one thing that just to add on, I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we're seeing a situation where KPA as a franchise, they're they're able to be on another level when they're competing locally, which they are greater than any other team here in the 254 in Kenya. But when they go outside, they're just like, you know, below average. They just look below average. And one thing that I've seen consistently when I'm watching all this film, because I watch all the games, some of them live, some of them if I'm able to catch them live, I just watch them, after work, after hours, so I can be able to like keep track with them. One thing I see is the the one consistent thing is these KPA squads. They just focus on athleticism, running. They're not able to like work and hone on basketball IQ and skills, and that's the main reason why they're being outplayed by teams that are less athletic than them. Especially when you look at teams like Costa del Sol, teams like A Sporting. They're not as athletic as KPA, but you can see you cannot overcompensate athleticism to basketball IQ. Even in the men's side, you can see the NBA Academy team was a team that was just a cast of 17-year-olds. I think the eldest was like 19 or 20, but they're able to beat a team that had multiple guys who are above 30, guys who are like over 25, under 30. So you're seeing like the depth is there, the strength is there, but there's no know-how. You're seeing people who they just know how to run the court and just take advantage of fast break points, but are not able to have good half court sets. So that's one thing that I saw in there. So just to sum it all up, I believe this is just a KPA problem. They need to find a way to fix this. And I mean, even if you're calling for a rebuild, I remember I made a video and I just said why um, Kenya should stop participating in FIBA events. I believe the constant losing and the constant inability to adapt to the way basketball is being played is the main reason as to why you're not able to compete and contend at that level. So, I mean, it's just a murky road. So, tell me what you think about this in the comments section. I just made a impromptu video. I just dropped my 2 cents on it, raw, uncut, and yeah, man, I'm out. Peace.